All right. Hey, everybody. I'm broadcasting from another place because I'm in the good state of Virginia. It is my birthday today. Ow. It's also Pride Month, and coincidentally, I had this fabulous little earring set that just happened to match my hair. I figure we'll shout out Pride Month as well. Because somebody said to me, I love a rainbow hair. And I was like, thank you for loving my rainbow hair. All right, but we're going to get into it. So, this is our little Be in the Ecosystem virtual meetup today. We've done a summit before, but what we're going to do is on a monthly basis kick off a little meetup so that this way people would know what's going on in the community and maybe even some stuff that passed that they should still be aware of. So today, my good friend Latasha Bescatti and I are co-hosting. And let me just tell you, technology is wonderful, and all of that. But at the same time, people still have to be in place. So you can have all the technology in the world that you want, but if the people are not in place, then what's going to happen, right? So we had some adjustments this morning due to nothing that we could control with some of the people that we had planned on having on today. But that is okay. So Latasha, in case the people don't know, just tell them who you are real quick, and then we'll just jump into what happened at the Durham Business Evolution Summit that we can kind of sum up for people so that they know all of the wonderful contributions we've been able to make to the world.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let me just say before I even introduce myself, let me just say a wonderful and beautiful happy birthday to the queen, Chisa of the ecosystem, and to give it to the people. She got to give it, get it. I mean, whatever y'all want, she got it. She is the curator of all curators. So we always just love to celebrate your birthday. And so I just want to say that today of just before I even introduce myself, let me just say happy birthday to you. Looking beautiful and
Thank you.
fabulous as always. Okay. So let's just say always to everybody, if you can, when you can, just say a good happy birthday. People just love it. Okay. So I won't sing for you, but just know that's my happy
I
birthday.
got you though.
Now, all right, without further ado. So, hi, everyone. My name is Latasha Bescatti. I am the Chief Strategist of Infinity Bridges, where we focus on bringing entrepreneurship through wealth creation. And so, I like to build entrepreneurship bridges, and I do that through advising, training, and entrepreneurship ecosystem building. So, that is who I am. That is what Infinity Bridges does. And so now she said, jump into what we did. So let me just talk about Durham Business Evolution Summit and Expo. And we can't say it without the expo because the expo was great. Okay. We had all kinds of vendors. And one of the key things in just planning the event, I just want y'all to understand of what we wanted you to experience, which was something that was different, something that included technology, something that was more than just your traditional conference. We wanted you to lean in, we wanted you to think, we wanted you to talk to people, we wanted you to network with people, we wanted you to walk away with names of people that you needed to follow up with. But we also wanted you to hear what's really happening because we also wanted to dispel all this business fear, right? So, right now in our economy, there is multiple layers of business fear. And that business fear could be because inventory is not getting to you the way it needs to because of prices of going up. I mean, so just in the terms of if you're a food based business, I'm sure if you have anything to do with eggs, that is really a struggle for you, and you've got to really think about what does that look like if you are a um any other kind of business, if you're a business owner that's doing business with the government, right? So if you're doing procurement type opportunities, then that's also a challenge because now you've got to think about your certifications, you got to think about how to display yourself. So this evolution summit and expo was to really get you to thinking about all those things and so much more. And I could talk about that, but I'll just stop there for now. But I just wanted you to know like what the intent and what the purpose was. And I will tell you, we hit the mark. we hit the mark, and everybody said they leaned in, they leaned back, they had to, they kind of like thought about some things that was said, and it flowed. It was just a great event, and glad that I was to that Infinity Bridges was able to participate.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. And for me, I would say it was different than some of my other events, because I was responsible for the exhibitors. So I tried to stay in my lane of where the exhibitors were at. And then also my favorite part, to be honest with you, was unexpected because I got to be a moderator for two of the sessions. And I am going to say I did want to attend some sessions, but I had a ball in my sessions. Like, honestly, I think the people that we had, Jason Gillikin, we had Eric Reese, we had Margaret McNabb in my session, and then we had Room Bendong. And so for our session, we talked about AI, but we talked about just the way that it's shaping how we do things now. We talked about even like the difference in metrics and how we see things as different entrepreneurs. And so anybody that wants to watch that, you can go back. I recorded our session, and you can go back and you can watch that. But it was really eye-opening, because things that other people are measuring or looking at were not necessarily the same things that I was looking at. So everybody's answer was totally different from the other person. And you could see, that's why I wish Eric Reeves was on. Eric, you could see inside his head, there were like two little people talking to each other, because as he was listening to other things, I could see he's like, I didn't think of that. Like, right. And it was just this really good dynamic. But then afterwards, he was just like, I might need to rethink how I'm doing my business.
Mm-hmm.
That was a powerful statement, because if you're already in business, a lot of times what you think about is you're doing it, of course, your way, how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're following the path of some people that have been influential in your life, but you still at the root of it have the ability to do what you want to do on a daily basis. But once you see that somebody else may be doing something differently, or calculating like the return on investment in a different way for their clients, it's like, oh, you know what? I could do something better. And so that for me was really one of the key things that I looked at was everybody, we give them the same word, but their interpretation of what they're using and how they're using it is different because of the client that they're serving. So for me, that was a really powerful thing. And I always told people, I said, I always looked at metrics previously, like, okay, how many people are in the room? And just FYI, we did have over 300 people attend that Durham Business Evolution
Yes,
Summit.
yes. I don't have my
And
little
that was a
over here, but that's a yes, yes.
right. So with all of those people coming, I think it's interesting to like go back and look at the surveys and see what people said was their favorite thing, or things that they really enjoyed, or things that they wish it would have been more of. But from your perspective too, because you probably got to look at a little bit of the panel, what was something that or heard that was like a really good takeaway from people from an overall perspective?
All right. So, and just if y'all see me like moving around, I was trying to find the agenda, just but of course I can't find it on my desk. But so first and foremost, let me just say, I think the first thing that I've heard and people have been still talking about is Dr. James Jim Johnson at UNC Keenan Flagler School of Business, right? So Dr. Johnson, and I have heard Dr. Johnson for a number of years and always just admired and loved the data and the way that he's able to present the data in a way that is not too researchy, if that is a word, and over people's head, but he made it. And so his topic was really on the DEI pushback, and really had a conversation. And he's a demographer. If you've never, so for those of you that are listening and that will listen to this, if you've never heard of Dr. Jim Johnson or Dr. James Johnson Jr., I think it's the official full government name, but Dr. Johnson, let me just say, so he is a professor and demographer, but the way that he presented the information, that's where I said people were leaning in, because a lot of times when you have data and statistics and somebody's giving charts and all of that information, it can be so overwhelming to digest that people sometimes don't understand or get it or how it applies to their business. And when he broke it down, and I was in there for portions of it, but for what people came back and was like, can I just, did anybody record it? I just need to hear it again.
Mhm.
Can anybody can somebody send the slides? I mean, what is, I mean, we'll take whatever he's willing to share. Like, that was so key and so dynamic that I think that was the great start to the day. And again, for all of y'all, I just want y'all to know, when people curate events, we curate it with a purpose. And I said that earlier, but sometimes you don't know how it's going to come off to the audience just because we're planning it in our heads and we're kind of thinking it with you in mind. But to know that that day and him as the kind of lead kickoff was the right kickoff was just dynamic. And I think that's just really key and essential. So that's one of the pieces. There was many. I'm like you, I was a lot in the background, just kind of making sure, moving pieces. But every chance I got, people were, like, wait a minute, I know you know this person. So how can I get in touch with them? What's the follow-up? So that's one of the things that I think is really important about being the ecosystem too, is the follow-up. So I just want you to know, if you haven't had a chance to follow up with somebody that you met at the event, today's the day. Okay. I'm just telling you, June 2nd, 2025, or whenever you are hearing this, today is the day to
Mhm.
follow up. Today is to connect with someone. We cannot do this in isolation. I'm just going to tell y'all, we cannot
No,
do these businesses in isolation.
no, we can't. And it felt like a family reunion esque kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it was like, hey girl, hey boy, how you doing? Okay, how your mama doing? How your business doing? It felt like a warm environment to me.
Yeah.
Unless you were in the exhibitor room where it got cold. And I'm only saying that because, this is the thing. Whenever you do events,
Yep.
there's always going to be something that you either can't control or something that just is like, okay, one person will have something to say, right? So that exhibitor room did get super chilly. But guess what? The people in there were still warm with their vibes. And I think that, like I said, it was a good mix of people so that this way, if there was something that you didn't know about technology, that you could then embrace. And so for me, one of the key things that I wanted to make sure that people kind of understood, and there was a lot of conversation around, was specifically more so that AI panel. And so I personally, and Latasha knows this, wanted to make sure my dentist was on there. Okay, you see the teeth stay clean. Dr. Giampo, Kwame Giampo,
Yeah.
okay, Providence Smiles. There were people that was like, well, what is a dentist doing on the panel, right? And the thing is, I was just like, because he does use AI in his practice. So while I want you to understand how business connects to your personal life, I am going to get my regular checkup and my cleaning, okay? He's like, how you doing? And let me tell you how we met. So we met because he was one of my exhibitors for the Black Biz Summit. He was on year 2 of Black Biz Summit. I put out a thing and I was like, I'm looking for Black dentists, Black accountants, Black this, Black on everything, right? And then he was a dentist. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. Because a lot of times we are looking for people in our community that look like us, that represent us, and maybe you just don't know, right? So if you think about it, if you have your healthcare plan, you're just picking from a list of people. Now you
Mhm.
can probably discern race sometimes based on a name, and sometimes gender based on a name. But he was there at our second year of the Black Biz Summit. So I'm getting my teeth done. He's like, how's things going? I said, it's wonderful, but I would love for you to be an exhibitor at this event that I'm going to be doing. Told him about it and everything, and I'm laying there. And what I love is he's talking to his assistant. He's like, "Hey, check our calendar for that day. See if we have anything available. If so, clear the day and move it because we're going to go to this summit." And he said, and so this is why I tell you too. Ask for the things that you want. All right. Because he said, well, listen, if there is an opportunity to speak too, I would love that. And I'm just like, first of all, love you, Dr. Giampo. Yes, I would love for you to speak. Right. So then Latasha was taking care of the speakers. So I'm like, Latasha, on your AI panel, let's put Dr. Giampo on there. Because while I'm sitting there trying to get my teeth done, not trying, I mean, he was doing my teeth, right? I'm like this, laying back, and he is showing me my teeth on the screen. And then I'm sitting there in the chair and he said, get your phone out. And I am then going to the QR code so I can look at all of the composites and everything of my teeth, right?
I love
He's out the plan while he's talking to the assistant. She's typing the stuff in so you know what your plan is. Now, that level of service you don't get everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes AI and we think of the, you know, the robots that are going to take over the world, but we don't see it in everyday practice for us as humans, as people. And it's not just about what's on your phone, but it's also about how it can be used in your life. So I heard his session was amazing.
Yes.
The people really loved it. They were saying that his assistant was knowledgeable and they really, really loved what they had to say because it brought it into perspective for regular people. So Leisure and Lace, the topic was they were talking about AI. So their whole panel was on AI and it was different people from different disciplines of AI. Some were people that make apps. So it was just different ways of explaining AI and how it's used in business, but for him to be a dentist and then for me to see it, and I'm like, oh well, I could send my teeth to people, you know, like because I have my teeth in my phone, right? Like it was just.
No, you didn't say you gonna sit. Don't send your teeth to me, Chisa. I love you. Don't
send it to Mr. Brown. I was like, look at my teeth, right? So he's at work, and I'm just like, you press this button and look at those teeth, right? And so it was one of those things where sometimes the technology is really helpful in relaying ideas to you because, you know, you used to just get those little raggedy x-rays, right? And you couldn't take the x-rays with you, but now you have your whole entire everything. You can see what needs to be worked on. So that was to me a key thing that I really was like, let me just interject that little sprinkle of realism so people can understand how the AI is really working in real life.
Yes. And I just want to echo that because people don't realize how technology can be in everything you do and really is. I mean, especially in our medical field. So let me just say, Dr. John Poe was so fantastic, right? Like at first he got up there and was like, I don't really know how I got on this panel, but I'm gonna just kind of talk. But let me tell you a couple of things from what he said. First and foremost, he brought all his team, which means he shut the practice down. And he also talked about, right, come on, Tammy. But the second thing that he did is he shared his journey of how he began to use AI personally and then began to do his research of how it can be implemented into his dental practice better. And he said he is one of very few dental practices, very few, I don't even know the number because it's so small, that really has embraced it and has been able to keep up in terms of communicating. I mean, again, here is Chisa saying she was in the dental office and sharing her teeth with everybody, but not just sharing the teeth, but how quickly that was. And if you've been around and you've been to multiple dentists, you typically gotta, if something's wrong, you gotta get the film. They gotta print the film. They gotta take the film to somebody, you know. And so think about, she had it on her phone in 2.5 seconds. Okay, 2.5 seconds. So he also talked about how he used it to really shape what he wanted the practice to be and how he wanted to grow and evolve. So I think that's also key and essential. And I also want to share on that panel, as you mentioned, was Kenyatta Hall with the Catalyst HQ, Dr. Yvonne Chirmo Clevens with UNC, Keenan Flagger talking about it from a educational perspective. Jason was on yours.
Greg on that panel.
Greg,
Greg was so good.
Greg was so good. So Greg, so Greg and Greg, who's from Durham. If Greg, you ever see this, I now know you're from Durham. But Greg, who is a Durham native, but him and just talking about how AI is going to really shape and shift, and it's going to help us. It's going to help embrace the way we do things, the way we engage and talk and communicate with people. And it's going to help us improve and be better. And so, and it's more than just your chat GPT or your Claudes or, some of those things that we are thinking about. It's really transformational. And so I think that's really important. And for us to understand it and not be afraid of it, and to really begin to learn more and to educate ourselves, educate our staff, educate teams, and to talk about it. And that's what that conversation in both sessions was. And it was, we had a good time too. We was laughing, and we just had a really had a ball in terms of it, and looking forward to some follow-ups along that, because I think it's still needed, and we need to kind of break into some of
Mhm.
the things.
We do. We do. I mean, there are so many different ways to do things and ways to use it. And I think that as business is evolving, every time that there's a new introduction of a piece of technology, because that could be software, it could be hardware, but every time this happens in, let's say, a human life cycle, these things speed up and go faster and faster and faster, right? So when you think about the 8 track, okay, we're gonna take it back. Okay, you think about
Oh,
45s,
now going
okay?
on music series.
Take it back to the 8 track.
Yeah.
You're gonna see where I'm going with this though. Take it to the 8 track in the car. So I'm watching this new show that's on, is it on Max? It's called Duster.
Okay.
And when he popped that 8 track in the other day, I was like, oh, come on with the 8 track, right? And I'm just thinking, like, look how technology changed. And then, we move, we got the records. Then we go to the cassettes, right? And now they don't even, most cars don't have cassettes in them. Then it went to the CDs. And then a lot of cars don't have CDs in them now, right? And then it went to what? Then it went to, okay, well, you have the music in the car, and it was satellite radio and all of this, right? So, let me not skip the
Don't forget
MP3.
the iPod. Yeah.
Let me not skip the MP3. So then you had the iPod and the MP3s, and you could plug that in via the aux in your car. Okay. And now it's like, we were talking about the fact that we saw this thing come up, and they were talking about DVR the other day. And I was like, we had a DVR back in the day, right? But I'm like, now you don't even need it because it's built into your TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm just showing you that. But that evolution was, going from the record and going up. That was a long time. Technology with this AI, the adoption rate is so fast, and they keep building things so quickly that it's like you can't even learn it as fast as you need to,
Yeah.
unless you're like, that's your life is to learn AI. There's so many different things that are happening. But the way that I wanted to transition this was to talk about music, was to say, in the Durham Business Evolution Summit and Expo, music was a key part. And let me tell you where the music technically came from. The music technically came from the womb, okay? Because Latasha's son, all right, people didn't even know the music came from the womb. So you see how I brought that in from a technology
There you
perspective,
go.
and then I'm putting it in real life.
I know.
So
He's an
Latasha's
old
son,
soul.
DJ Zay,
DJ
did the
Say,
music.
yes, he brought it. So let me just tell you,
Talk
everybody
about DJ Zay.
who taught this young man. And I just, I am a proud mom. I just want y'all to know I have both of my kids are entrepreneurs. I always say I'm raising the next generation of entrepreneurs, but then to be able to have them at a corporate event, and then for people to be like, who taught this old soul? And he just smiled. He was like, my mom and dad. Because we, first of all, we love music. So that's why I love the music analogies. But then the other piece was he gave a little neo soul, he gave a little jazz, he gave a little rumba, like he was doing it all
He
in a
mixed it.
very professional setting, and he was so excited. And of course, he grew up, we going to events, so of course people was like, they literally was like, that is the little boy that you had when you was pregnant, that's the little boy you used to take around. Yeah, and now he's 22, but he is doing his thing as a DJ. I'm trying to get him into a corporate DJ. So if y'all ever have any corporate DJ gigs, think about DJ Zay. But
Add them into the list.
he has really just grown and transformed, and I think that's also talk about technology evolution, talk about how music can bring people together too, right? Because we had people from, the other thing that we had is we had a whole international team, y'all. Let me just tell y'all. So, and one of the people asked him like, hey, can you bring this song in when we do this and this? He was like, oh sure, I got this. And so to be able to really see not only how music bring people together, but also how this evolution summit brought people together from all backgrounds, all industries, all worlds. We had, I think we had a little technology glitch, but we still had someone piping in internationally. We had some good international conversation. So again, we're not just saying stay in a certain lane or stay in. This is about the full ecosystem. And I think that's the really key about it. And this is how we need to work together.
Definitely. And to your point, the biggest thing that I do want to let people know is we're doing this as a recap, but we also want to let you know some things that are coming up. So it's not just about the fact of the Durham Business Evolution Summit that was in Durham, North Carolina, and the fact that it will happen again, but it is about the fact of, okay, when we talk about evolution, what's next, right? So can you touch on really briefly the international portion that is coming up? Because this is a big thing for people. Now we did do this too when we did the summit at NC Central for the Seed program. We had somebody come in from EDPNC and specifically talk about how you can take your business international. And a lot of times what we think about is, well, do I have to have a tangible product? And the answer to that is no, because you could also be service based and be somebody that is selling overseas. And that's something that I've always had as a dream to do. I always wanted to import or export something from somewhere, right? And so I think that it doesn't just have to be tangible product based, but also, like I said, your services could be something that's there. So can you talk to what's coming up with Durham Trade Connect?
Yes. So I think it's really important to understand, and COVID has really seen that we're not just a US based organization anymore. We're global connecting, and we can connect again just through technology. As I mentioned before, we had someone that was traveling internationally, and we direct out or connected with them through Zoom. And we can all do that. Like we can have meetings with people internationally, long as you know the time zone difference. But so so as a result, there are a couple of things as a result of the Durham Business Evolution Summit and Expo that were kicked off and that's going to be launched. The first thing is Durham Trade Connect. And Durham Trade Connect is to really focus on all of the countries outside of the US and really letting people know how to connect with those organizations and how can you really take your business and if you don't have a product base, you may have a service base. How can those services be used internationally? And how can you do business with someone in other countries? And again, we are a global society. And I just want you to understand the pandemic has showed us that we are closer than you think. And so people used to say there's 6 degrees of separation. We are really closer than you think. So as a result, working with the North Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I may get that name wrong. I'm looking at my little cheat sheet here, but really being able to see that bringing organizations together, and again, not just from every continent. So let me just say it that way. And I know you may even say, wait a minute, we got to go back to geography. Yes, go back to geography. So first and foremost, the continent of Africa. You're also thinking Europe, Asia. So all of them, bringing them together so that you can really connect your businesses, to connect your talent and connect your skills. So it doesn't matter what type of business you do, it's really about connecting talent, skills, and abilities for all of us. And goes back to this ecosystem. So I know y'all gonna get tired of me, but that is our topic. Uh, but for us to all be in the ecosystem, for all of us to prosper, for all of us to thrive. So be on the lookout for more information on Durham Trade Connect and how it's going to bring all of the entities together, all of the countries, and so that we can co-collaborate together. Here's the bonus, though. I want y'all to be aware of the bonus. There's going to also be opportunities to travel abroad as a business owner. So I want you to also, if you don't have a passport, if you don't have a real ID, and I know DMV got some issues with real ID right now, but just know there's some Saturday hours. But anyway, but if you don't have a passport, if you don't have a real ID, this is, in all seriousness, the opportunity to really go ahead and get that in. It is possible. And again, this is a business transaction. So this is not, we're gonna always have a little fun because you can't have business without fun. But we also want to make sure that you are able to connect. So you can do, and you're going to be able to do that right here in Durham, North Carolina, through the Durham Trade Connect. So I just want you to know what's coming up on the horizon for that.
Now,
So look
there's
out.
a question though that says, can you participate if you're located in Charlotte? So I know the answer to that, but can you just give them the answer?
I would say where this particular program is going to be for businesses that are located in Durham, if and doing business in Durham, because this program is using some city and county funds for that. However, if you're in Charlotte, I know that there are some other resources as well as some other statewide resources. So just because you're not in Durham does not mean you may not have access to the resources for you in Charlotte. So one of the things, and one of our great organizations that I will just say is a resource for you is EDPNC, which is Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. That will definitely help you in Charlotte. So no matter where you are across the state of North Carolina, there are going to be some resources for you. But this particular program is to uplift the businesses in Durham and get them to do businesses internationally. But there are some other statewide initiatives for that as well. So don't think that just because your business is not in Durham or you're not covering Durham does not mean you don't have access. There's just other programs for you.
That's right. Now I'm going to bring on a guest of ours who was participating, who was also helping with the exhibitor side and making sure that everything was looking good, feeling good out there. So good morning. We're on mute, but LaShawn Harley, how are you this morning?
I am active this morning. A
Okay.
lot going on. It's a lot going on today. I hope everybody else is good today. How are you doing?
We are wonderful. And where are you joining us from? Because I know you're not in North Carolina right now.
Jamaica, Queens, and then I got to go over to Rosedale, Queens, and then we're going to Brooklyn. So in the New York City tri-area, but at this exact moment, I am in Jamaica, Queens.
Okay, because I was
First
about to get
time
real
here.
jealous. I was about to get real jealous if you were in real Jamaica, but okay, we'll go with Jamaica, Queens. Yes. Okay. So can you just give us a little feedback on your experience at the Durham Business Evolution Summit and Expo?
Yes, I thought it was great, especially this was the first of its initiative that the city was doing. So I thought it was good that they were taking the opportunity to expose the business entrepreneurs to so many different aspects of what was going on. I didn't get to hear, but I know him dynamically. Dr. Johnson, I already knew when they had him on the list that he was going to provide valuable information that people could utilize for their business. But people were able to interact, talk with each other. There were people that even came all the way down to the last minute. And I do mean the last minute when you had the networking session at 5 o'clock that they thought was so valuable and impactful. So I would say that anybody, wherever you want to come in to an event, don't look at how long you can be there. Just like I'm jumping in and I've got to jump out to go somewhere else. It's about quality over quantity. So often we look at the quantity, but it was quality over quantity. There were people who came in for 15 minutes and said in that 15 minutes, they got what they needed. And so that was something that was very valuable that I hope people take away. And I know, Chisa, you're always heavy on people about their experience, and experience was what folks got. And then, yes, helping the folks out. I helped Chisa out with the folks with the exhibitors. And what I did when I was doing that, I would look at their table and say, oh, really? If I were an entrepreneur coming to your table, I would be confused. I wouldn't understand this. Or even for one gentleman, it was just the height of his monitor. For those of us who I call vertically challenged, which means we're average height, it was different looking at the screen because he's over 6 feet and he didn't realize it was different. So one of the other things I did was I was able to do that, and several people actually took a picture of their table and said they were going to use that again on other resources. And this is what is key about collaboration, which is why I'm here also with Chisa, Latasha. This is one of the things that we push out, is that you need to collaborate with other people. It wasn't about me going to get things. It was about me helping my fellow person. And in the process, I did get connections. I did talk to people. So the thing is that when you're collaborating, know what everybody is all about. I knew Chisa was about the experience people were having. So I didn't just look at exhibitors and saw that they had their stuff there. I went through the area to say, what was the experience that people are having? So you always got to remember your why of your business. Why are you doing what you're doing? And make sure that people feel that. Maya Angelou said, people don't remember what you say or do, it's how you make them feel. So I just want to put that out there in the whole experience of things. Latasha, even the experience that Latasha was giving to make sure that I was taking, she's like, do you have this? Do you have that? So always work together with folks. Don't look at it as that you're competitors. Look at it as how can we help each other, because you never know when that other person can be of value to you just by just speaking your name, sponsoring you. That's what sponsorship is all about. So I did want to put all that out there, and I hope that gets people fired up for the next time to go into any event and any of the things that especially give it to the people is doing, because that's what we're here for. We're giving it to you because we want you to have the experience, and that's why I'm speaking. What I'm speaking on is about making sure you're getting an experience even right now when you're looking at this.
You better give it. All right. Now, let me just see. We have another guest that popped in, but there is a technical thing that's happening in the background because he's live at another event. So we're trying to get Eric Reese on. But once I see him pop back on, we'll pop him up on the screen because he should be coming back up with us in a minute. Now, I do want to thank Samantha Bryant, because I see she's on here. And Samantha is with the Department of Transportation for North Carolina. So Samantha, I want to thank you because let me tell you something. This is why I tell you speak up. So Samantha sent me something on like the last day, and she was like, listen, is there a space? Is there any availability? And I was like, yeah, girl, I got you a space. She sent her stuff in really quickly. And then let me tell you how crazy this is. The day of, all right, it's 4 something in the morning. Now I'm up, okay? Because I'm up making sure that all of this is looking like it's supposed to look. Samantha is sending me an email at 4 something in the morning saying that one of her colleagues did not register, and could she register the person? And I'm like, listen, don't even worry about that. They can do a walk-in registration when they get there. And she responds back to me very quickly, and she's like, thank you so much. So then when she gets there, we're having this whole conversation about, why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning sending me emails and receiving and responding? And I'm like, well, why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning sending me emails and responding? But no, it was really one of those things where I want you to understand that checking your email is is an essential factor when you're doing an event. But I want you to say this too. Also, responding to people quickly so that they can make good decisions is another thing. So when we talk about curating things, as LaShawn was mentioning, it's also that communication has to be there, right? So you have to make sure that people understand what's going on, and you can't wait forever to try to answer somebody. So that's one thing that I would say Latasha and I were adamant about, was not just getting the emails, not just sending stuff out, but also replying to you in a timely fashion so that this way you could have what you need. And we were making sure that we did extra things, like I did a video for my exhibitors to show them where everything was so that they wouldn't get lost, because I hate going to events and you don't know where stuff is, especially if you've never been there. And we had a lot of people that travel from out of town to come. Latasha did a marvelous job of doing a whole, first of all, she did extra, okay? She went ahead and did 2 separate live streams so that this way her people could ask questions, and each one of those, she went through the entire agenda with everybody, okay? So it's a level of service that you don't get when you're with everybody, okay? So I'm just saying, just in case you wanted to know, these the little things that make a big difference. Okay, Eric, I'm trying to see if you are available, but I don't see your little face. So once I see you pop back up, I'm just going to add you on. We'll just pause everything. But Latasha, I want you to jump back in with, you are typing into the chat, but there were other events that, or things. Oh, hold up. There goes Eric. I see him. Hold on. And then we're going to pop back over. Boom. Eric Reese.
Hey, Chisa, how you doing? Sorry, I was virtual. I was virtual another event, and I said, "Oh my God, I got to join Chisa and the team." I couldn't miss it. So I said, "Oh, let me do this real quick and jump in." You are amazing.
You already look. I already said good stuff about you, so I'm glad you did. I said good things about you already. I was telling them how on the you look like two little people were in your brain talking to each other, because you look like light bulbs went off, and you at the end you said, maybe I should change some of the way that I'm doing business. So just talk about real quick, like some of your experience with the panel and the event and on the whole thing.
Oh, let me tell you. I will tell you first. I think I told Tasha that kudos. That was probably one of the best events of the year. It was. I was thoroughly enjoyed it, educated, from the fullest, and the interaction in the main hall. Just people I hadn't seen in a while, people I met, and a whole bunch of new people that was so delighted to meet. It had some really impactful speakers. It really gave me some the data guy in the very beginning just blew me away. And excuse me for not remembering his name. He blew me away with the data he had about North Carolina, and this was the nuggets that he was dropping. It's like, I will tell anybody, if you missed that portion, go back and watch it, because that was it was jaw dropping. But back to the session, it was on a panel with 4 individuals that was just truly innovators in the marketing space, truly innovators, and just making sure the people that what they do is changing the businesses that they touch. And that was the coolest part about it, right? It was from the AI, having AI conversations about how AI is impacting marketing, how AI is impacting small businesses, how people are using AI just to make their businesses smarter, faster, and leaner. That was some great conversation. And I was telling somebody the other day, Chisa, and I have to give you kudos. You caught me off guard with all the great questions, because you were probably the most prepared person I've ever seen. I mean, I'm telling you, for a session like that. Yeah, us coming into it as a panelist, and you're always very nervous because we always have so much things we want to discuss and want to share with the audience. And you just set us all up with some questions that were just really impactful. Like, you asked me about Fayetteville Street and how Fayetteville is the future of Durham, and how that is that under that area has been so blighted for many years, and they're now pouring some really good investment into it. And you asked me about that, and you asked me about how does it feel to be a small business, a small growing small business that services small businesses and big businesses, and the impact that we have on marketing. So I was just, it was an awesome event.
Okay, that made me so happy. I'm so glad. I did not pay him, y'all. Just FYI. Okay, all right. Just
send me my check. Don't
tell her. But no, I mean, I think for me, it was just like, I think when you get on panels and when you do these events, people can feel very overwhelmed because it's a lot going on. So not only are you trying to speak, part of you speaking is you want to give people an impression of you as a business owner, where you're attracting clientele. You definitely want to sound smart. In my case, I always throw in a little bit of humor, but I think when you can inject just making it feel like it is a conversation and really listening to what people are really good at, aside from that hard skill of doing business, is other things that are attractive about why should I do business with you? And even if I don't do business with you, I can recommend you to somebody else. Like that to me is an important factor, because if you're on a panel, I can tell that you're really good at this. Like they picked you for a reason, but getting nervous is one of those things that I think a lot of people do, even when you know what you're talking about. So just trying to make people feel comfortable. And then also taking into consideration with the audience, a lot of times they're listening to stuff back to back to back to back. So how can we be a little bit different, and how can we have some fun with the subject matter that we're talking about? Like, I think that's always an important factor, that a lot of people want to be really super corporate. Let me just ask these questions that are on the paper. And I'm just like, I just can't do that. Like, that's just, that's never going to work for me. So I'm glad that you were able to interject that. And then your networking portion, how did you find that, Eric?
The networking for me was in the beginning, the little breaks that they had, and then in the interaction in the hallway. I really enjoyed that, and I especially when we had that. I didn't stay around for the late evening portion, but I did stay because I had a prior commitment. But that hallway time I had was phenomenal. I had met, I got a chance to talk to Jason. I believe his name was the gentleman who is with the
Jason
agency.
Gilligan.
Jason Gilligan. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I had to meet with him. I met with the CEO of Walk West, and it was just having some really good conversations about marketing, and how podcast is influencing marketing, and this we all had the same thoughts about that in the future. Of how people are digesting content. And just making sure that having. I mean, networking was spot on. It was spot on, and I think that people oftentimes get nervous during those times. They don't know, feel like they get nervous about walking up to people, introducing themselves to people. Hey, and just jumping in conversations, and because they feel like, oh, I'm going to interrupt somebody. No, I think people should do that more often. I think that people, that's just my tidbit for everything, right? That if you're in a networking environment like that, it is okay to be nervous, but it's also okay to be that kid in the room that says hello to everybody as much as possible, because typically people remember you for that, right? They remember you for saying, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Eric. I'm from We Shift Culture. Hey, my name is Latasha. I'm from Infinity Bridges. Hello, my name is Chisa." I give it to the people every time you see me, right? So that's the one of the things that so the networking portion was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the laid backness of it. I enjoyed seeing a lot of everybody was very welcoming, very receptive to having good conversation. I think that had a lot to do with the topic and the tone of the conversation, and the topic and the tone of the event itself. I think that it was an environment that you felt welcoming. An environment that everybody was smiling. Nobody was off putting. Nobody was not attentive. Anytime you walked out, say, I have a question. Everybody's like, oh yeah, great. What question you have? So that really fed into the part that people feel comfortable. And I even had a chance to sneak into the room where all the vendors were set up, right? I had not seen that originally, because I was one of the panelists. So I ran in there, sat down immediately. Then I stepped back out. I was like, oh, there's a whole vendor area. Let me go in there, right? And it was kind of cool to see that and interact with some vendors I hadn't seen before. See some of the credit unions that some of the credit unions was partnering with some of the businesses, So it was really, really cool networking portion. I enjoyed it.
Well, I love that. And then LaShawn, you were able to be in the good mix of the networking portion. So how did you feel like the vendors even kind of network with each other? Because a lot of times you're there, you have your booth, and you don't leave from behind your booth. But I saw a lot of networking with the vendors with each other. So how was that part?
I can't find can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I can't find my screen, so
don't even worry about it. We see you. We
yes.
hear you.
Okay, so yes, the vendors got to meet each other. A lot of them are actually hadn't seen each other in a while. A few of them even asked if they could actually be together because of what they were doing. So they really got that opportunity and were able to do that maneuvering, which actually allowed them to meet and communicate with each other, which I thought was really, really good. And again, the thing is that by us looking at them and getting an experience out of it, we were able to help them set up their tables. And even when it looked like they didn't have a lot, it seemed like they had more. And again, just like Eric said, folks found out about other groups and organizations to connect with. I'm saying they're going to do business with later on. So that's another thing. People don't look at being an exhibitor or a vendor at events. It's not always just about getting customers. It's also about getting connections, collaborations. And as Eric said, he also went to the he went to the different sessions. So that was one of the things that the exhibitors were able to go to the sessions. And I thought that was very valuable. Like Eric said, especially Dr. Johnson's session, if they had not been able to go, they would have missed out on that opportunity. So I thought that was really good that they got to be not only an exhibitor, but they also were able to get a lot of the information. So like I said, it was definitely an experience and a different experience than folks have had before.
Okay. Well, I love that because I think that everything was intentional, to make sure that people had a good time, but not just that, to make sure that you did connect. And I think that to me, that was a bigger part. So when I look at the word evolution and I look at this year specifically, and all the things that have happened and are continuing to happen in our world, I'm hoping that we are actually evolving back to a sense of we really need each other, right? Like that's really the biggest thing. So when you saw the diversity that was in the room from age, from gender, race, different backgrounds, and people change companies and then you're still in the ecosystem, right? So I don't want people to think like, oh, okay, well, you were this at this company. Okay, you're going to be something at another company in a few minutes too, right? So when we talk about that and all of the relationships that you're able to build, that is a big part of what makes this whole thing work together, is that I know you from here. Oh, you're here now. And then it just kind of brings things together for people. So that's what I hope people were able to get out of. And so I just want you guys, because we're going to wrap up. We're not going to do the 2 hours just because my husband was like, you 2 hours, it's your birthday. We're still on vacation right now. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know why I changed it to 2 hours this week, even though normally we only do 1 hour. Yes, Eric.
Hold on. Do we need to sing happy birthday to you?
Oh, if you want to, you can.
Yeah, you got to sing by yourself. I already did my happy birthday, and it did not go over.
No, I'm not gonna. I won't sing happy birthday, but happy birthday.
Yay, thank you. So yeah, he was like, "Are you sure you're still doing it?" Yeah, I'm sure I'm still doing it. Thank you. But I was like, yeah, I'm sure we're still doing it. I was like, I'll get up. We can do the thing. So this is why you can see the hotel backdrop back here. And a little shadow because I don't have my ring light with me, but we finagled the light so that this way you would still see a little chocolate face there. All right, so I want you guys to LaShawn and Eric, we want to thank you guys for being on. I know you have other stuff that's going on today, but we appreciate you carving out this little bit of time. And Latasha is going to touch on just 2 more things, but we put it inside the chat also. So any of the things that she's touching on, you can find out more information from the links that are going to be inside the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, you can see the links that are in the chat. So you'll be able to see that as well. If you did come and you had a good time, still you can watch this, you can still share it after it's over. And we'll be cutting up little parts of it just so that this way you guys can still, you can still watch it, but I'll put some little snippets out on social media. But Eric, thank you so much. LaShawn, thank you so much. She had another engagement to go to as well. And then Latasha, let's wrap it up then.
All right, Chisa, I want to wrap it up with, of course, as we always, we get it to the people, letting them know some key things. So first and foremost, again, there is going to be a Durham Trade Connect. But also I wanted to share, we did talk about EDPNC, which is a great statewide resource. The link is in the chat. And then when you're looking for other things that are happening, go to Durham Business 360. This is the City of Durham site for all things entrepreneurship that is happening within the city. And at the event was the Small Local Business Enterprise Program that is being sponsored by the finance department. They did an announcement at lunch, and so that link is in there. Also, if your business has been around for 15 plus years or more, they're also talking about Durham Legacy Business Initiative. So that link is also in there. So just wanted to let you know this was a collaboration of the City of Durham, Durham County, the National Institute of Community Economic Development, Infinity Bridges, and Give It to the People. And so we want to just always thank everybody for all that they've done. And then, in addition to what the city's resources, the county also has resources. So if you haven't been to Durham County Library, please check them out. They have a lot of great resources, research. If you're looking for data, information, also workshops, again, all of these things are free and open to you as business owners. And then also, if you're looking to do procurement, don't forget the city and the county are also still looking at procurement opportunities. And then the last thing is, don't forget to, if you want to see any of where any of us going to be, guess where I post my information? I post it on the Give It, Get It membership portal. So I know Chisa is going to close out with sharing that, but I'm also part of E3 Durham. So they have the fourth Thursday, except for in June, because this is Juneteenth. So just know we want all of you celebrating businesses Juneteenth. So that is kind of next steps where we are. Please, please, please check out the sites, follow all of these sites. And remember, we're all working together. All right. So that's
Right.
what I've got. So, Chisa, I'm gonna pass it to you to
Not
do
a
a birthday closeout.
Got you. So one thing that Latasha mentioned was our Give It, Get It business membership. So feel free to go to giveitgetit.biz. I have put it up on the screen for you, and it is scrolling as well. This is where you want to stay connected. It is a free version, and we also have an upgraded premium version as well. We do have plenty of events that are coming up. I'll be teaching plenty of different classes this month. On Juneteenth specifically, Latasha and I, as well as LaShawn, will be participating in the Small Business Summit that will be with Alamance Community College Small Business Center. It's totally 100% free, and you can go ahead and register for it on the site. And then our largest event of the year is the Black Biz Summit. So BLKBIZSUMMIT.com is where you go for that. But that will be on August 1st in Durham, North Carolina. So we want you to come out to those events where you can also be in community. And everything is up and available for registration right now. But if you said, well, look, I've been looking for a membership where I can find out about events, where I can post my own events, where I can get information on what's happening in the business community, and it's statewide, it's not just my area, then this is something that you definitely want to join. So we try to keep you abreast of all of the things that are happening, that you need to know for your business, deadlines for things that are happening as far as grants, all of that information. So please know that. And then we did have one person that was on specifically from Charlotte. We will be coming to Charlotte July 25th. So we're going to be doing an event called Beyond the Borrower down there in Charlotte. We do have an event that's going to be coming up in Fayetteville as well. So there's stuff that we're going to be doing all over the state. But as of right now, June 19th is online, so you can register now and you can be anywhere in the world. And then August 1st, we want you to be right here in Durham. And if you join the membership, then you're also going to get a discount code so that this way you can get a little discount to attend the summit. So go ahead and join now, because we'll be sending out our email shortly. We do feature our members. We want you to get as much information as you can, and we focus on money and marketing. Like, those are the two things that most businesses need. So those are the things that we definitely focus on. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this today. We appreciate you for being out and sharing your day with us and sharing my birthday. And make sure that you always show up and show out, and you continue to give it to the people. Bye, guys. Thanks for being on.